Hello, let's try to solve another question from exponential equation. The question says if a equals x to the power q plus r times y to the power p, b equals x to the power r plus p times y to the power q, and c equals x to the power p plus q times y to the power r, so that x to the power a to the power q minus r times b to the power r minus p times c to the power p minus q equals 1. So here what we have to show is this, and these are the given information. So let me first write the given information. So this is our first given information. A equals x to the power q plus r times y to the power p, and since we have to show that a to the power q minus r, this is what we need, this term. So we are given with a, so to find a to the power q minus r, here we have to multiply the power of both sides by q minus r. So let's do it at first. So here I've multiplied both the power for a by q minus r. So these terms power also has been multiplied by q minus r, and the power of y, which is p, has also been multiplied by q minus r. So on further simplification here, since the power should be multiplied, here on multiplication, q plus r and q minus r can be referred to as a plus b and a minus b, since this is the expanded formula for a squared minus b squared. We can replace this by a squared minus b squared. So instead of writing q plus r times q minus r in power, I've written q squared minus r squared. I hope you understood what I've done. And here p multiplies both the inner terms q and r to give pq minus pr. So this is our value for a to the power q minus r. Similarly, let us find for b to the power r minus p. To find b to the power r minus p, here we are given the value for b. Over here, b is equal x to the power r plus p times times y to the power q. So in order to find b to the power r minus p, let us multiply its power by r minus p. So in doing so, we have to multiply the power on right hand side also by r minus p. Similarly, for power of y, we have to multiply it also by r minus p. So on simplification, we get x to the power r squared minus p squared times y to the power qr minus qp. Since r plus p and r minus p is formula for a plus b, a minus b, it's in term, so we can write it as a squared minus b squared instead. And similarly, this q multiplies both the inner terms r and p to give qr and qp. So instead, so the value for b to the power r minus p is this. Finally, let us find the value for c to the power p minus q, but instead we are given the value of c, which is equal to x to the power p plus q times y to the power r. So to find c to the power p minus q, here I'll solve it similarly as I've done for a to the power q minus r and b to the power r minus p. So finally we got the value for c to the power p minus q, which is equal to x to the power p squared minus q squared times y to the power pr minus rq. Now, as we found the value for a to the power q minus r, b to the power r minus p, and c to the power p minus q, let us multiply these two as we've been told, to show that the product of these three terms gives 1. So let us multiply these three first terms. So on substituting the value for a, b, and c with power q minus r, r minus p, and p minus q, these are the three terms or the three values for a to the power q minus r, b to the power r minus p, and c to the power p minus q. So when we simplify the right hand side here, common base are x, x, and x with power q squared minus r squared minus p squared, and p squared minus q squared. Since we know that if the bases having similar since the similar bases having different powers are multiplied, for example, x to the power q times x to the power p gives x to the power q plus p. This is the rule for indices. Here we'll do the same. X to the power q squared minus r squared, power of first x plus power of second x is r squared minus p squared, and power of third x is p squared minus q squared. Similarly for y, we can do the power of first y is pq minus pr, and power for second y is qr minus qp, and power of third y is pr minus rq. So when we look at the power of x clearly, we can cancel positive and negative q squared, positive and negative r squared, positive and negative p squared. Similarly, pq and negative pq, negative pr and positive pr, positive qr and negative qr gets cancelled. So this gives us with x to the power 0 times y to the power 0. And we know that something the power a to the power 0 or any basis which has power of 0 means 1. This means 1 times 1, which is equal to 1. So we proved, or we have shown that these three terms multiplies to give 1. This is our answer, and I hope you got the concept. Actually, it's not that difficult. And thanks for watching, and yes, please do subscribe. Thank you.